What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another edition of Dangle Bet Selly, powered by FTN Bets, presented by Points Bet Canada, right here live on our FTN Network YouTube page. Also coming your way on a Game Plus Network. Meaney and Eric Young here with you on this Tuesday. Two games on the ice to talk about in the NHL. We're going to talk a little bit about the NHL draft lottery from last night. We have the 4 series to break down, and we see the crew in the house with us. So let's begin. EY. What's going on, dude? How are you?
Yeah, good, man. I mean, playoffs it's been wild. It's been a lot of one-sided things, and it's back and forth. The only series I wish wasn't one-sided is one-sided. It's
Where do you begin? I mean, I have thoughts, and I'm clearly going to share them. But
yeah, and we should. And then I'm not going to say anything that people that are watching and people that are Maple Leafs fans don't already think and know. Is like, you're up against it, game 3. All the players are saying exactly what everybody knows, that it's a must win, right? You know, have people come back from down 3 before? Yes. Is it likely to happen? No. They were outplayed in the Tampa series. They've been outplayed. Eye test for sure. You know, I mean, a lot of analytics people want to point to high danger, this, that, and the other. And look, I love analytics, but I don't give a shit. Like, they're losing. And the $10 million and $9 million and $8 million players in game 3, the most important game of this season, of this playoffs, were invisible. They were invisible. There's no desire. There's no urgency, just out like a Sunday afternoon twirl, like it's no big deal. They just don't care. And anyone, they can say whatever they want. I've never competed at a high level, like, you know, like the NHL or the OHL or anything like that. But I've been in sports my whole life. I've been in positions on television where it's do or die. I've wrestled for a contract before, you know, and everything was on the line, and I put up one of my best performances because I wanted to continue to work and live my dream. And these guys just don't give a shit. And they can say, and Toronto fans and analytic people can say whatever they want. They do not care. They should have no problem beating the Florida Panthers. And here we are. They're going to be eliminated on Thursday, and I would bet any amount of money on it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, they play Wednesday, so
Wednesday.
I get what you're saying, but
yes.
Wednesday. Yeah, I really don't know. It's crazy. I want to give Florida some credit.
No doubt.
I do want to give Florida some credit. Yes. I mean, what they did to Boston, right, is certainly President's Trophy curse, all that nonsense. What they did to Boston, going into Boston, winning 3 games in Boston, a team that hardly lost at all year long. Say what you want about Linus Ullmark not playing up to, you know, how he played. He's going to win the Vezina here. Didn't play like a Vezina goaltender in that series, but Florida took care of Boston, and it's carried over. And there is something to be said as well about a team down the stretch of the season needing to win, playing must-win games over the last month of the season. Like, this team basically needed to go 8-1, right. 9-1, 10-2 to make the playoffs. They just made it. Like, one more loss and a win by the Pens, they're not even in, right? So they just get in. They've been playing desperation hockey, playoff hockey for quite some time. And actually, that's the difference when I watch these two teams play. I see a team in Florida that's got a ton of effort, a ton of energy, finishing every single hit. And I look at Toronto and I see a lot of puck watching. I see, like, even on that overtime goal, like, what was that goal where it's a nice flick pass from Ekblad
3 players
and Reinhart? Yeah. Reinhart gets it at the blue line, and great on him to not dump it in. Instead, he, you know, buys himself a little bit of time, waits for his line mates to complete the change. Then he gets in, maneuvers inside the blue line and dumps it in. But nobody is after him. Nobody's pressuring him at the red line to dump it in. Nobody's like, Brody completely missed his assignment on that goal. Didn't cut him off behind the net. They just lose him behind the net and it's over. But I do want to give a little bit of effort to Florida. But you're right, man. These star players, like, how about Jack Hughes the other night and putting his team on the back in a must-win situation? Jack Hughes and Timo Meier showed up in that game. How about Vegas bouncing back last night, and Jonathan Marchessault, who had done nothing in the first couple games and getting a couple goals, and Mark Stone and the Golden Knights had a fantastic first period after getting spanked, on home ice and embarrassed in game 2. And then I just feel like when I watch this Leafs team, like I like Marner and Matthews and Nylander, they're terrific players, and they've had unbelievable regular seasons, and they were all good, especially Matthews in the first round. But I feel like when you need them to take another gear, another level, it's just not there. Draisaitl has been able to take his game to another level. Wasn't he compared to Matthews all year long last year? He's been able to take his game to another level. Just mentioned Jack Hughes. I just don't see that extra gear from those star players in Toronto.
It's desire, man, right?
You don't think they care?
It's about will. And you can't tell me that they care. They don't care. They don't care. Those players don't care. The best line was the fourth line. David Kampf and Sean Lafferty making $800,000, and they're working their asses off. And what are we getting from the top line? $10 million, Austin Matthews, 60 goal scorer, big body. I mean, could take over the game if he felt like it. And look I'm not taking anything away from Florida. This team they're unreal. They beat the greatest regular season team in the history of the NHL. They beat them. And they beat them at home. And, but it did take them 7 games. There's been, like the Maple Leafs, the first 2 games, it could have kind of gone either which way, I think. But game 3, the most important one, the one they needed to win, those players were invisible, man. Invisible. I was like, is Austin Matthews even playing? Like
I know.
He was invisible.
Yeah,
invisible.
Yeah, and very soft on the forecheck, and just watching around, a lot of puck watching. I feel like I watch.
No urgency.
It's a lot of puck watching all the time. But again, yeah, you're right. Credit to Florida. I mean, they got 3 lines that are deep. Certainly, that third line is giving Toronto fits. They are. Like, we're seeing the breakout from guys like Luosterainen and Lindell, and Sam Reinhart looks pretty good on there as well. But the core 4 here in the first series, 13 goals, 34 points, 22 even strength points, plus 11 rating. I know plus minus is silly, but we'll include that. That's Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander. And in this round, 0 goals, 4 points, 2 even strength points, and minus 10. And something I came across as well, Marner only 4 goals in his last 34 playoff games. 4 goals in his last 34 playoff games, 0 goals beyond the second game in his last 6 playoff series. Unbelievable. Like, that's a guy, to me. Matthews is one thing. I mean, the guy was, I thought, still really good. Maybe not so much in the last game, but really good in the playoffs here.
Yep.
It's taken his game. I think, like, it's maybe unfair to say that he hasn't been able to take it to another level, although he was a non-show in game 3. But it's other guys like Marner. And these 2 players put them in such, I guess it's all Leafs here. We'll probably wrap up with them. They're not playing tonight. We're definitely going to get to all 4 series, and I want to get Bedard. I want to say what up to the crew too. But when I see this Leafs team and this core, and it's been so long now, I feel like those 2 guys, Marner and Matthews, really put Toronto in a bad spot. They didn't want to sign a lengthy, it was like a 5-year deal. So they're going to get pay raises in a couple of years. They just are. Whether it's from Toronto or not, they just are. It's just the way it goes in sports. It's like in the
100%.
NFL. Whether you think you're the top quarterback in the world, you're topping the next guy who got paid. And it's just Hurts did it. Lamar did it. Herbert's going to do it. And Burrow. It's just a continuation. So those guys are going to get raises. But they put them in such bad spots because, to me, they hadn't proved anything in the NHL yet. But yet they were getting money that John Tavares got, 11 plus million, for a guy who had been in the league for a long time. Hadn't proved a whole lot in the playoffs, but had proved enough where he, at the time, a superstar. Where Marner and Matthews, all that money put them in such a tough spot. The bottom 6 is really atrocious, especially when they moved Ryan O'Reilly off of it. And the defense, Morgan Riley's played the best hockey I've ever seen him play, really.
Yep.
But nobody else is stepping up. Like, Shen is great. He's physical, sure. But Shen, Hall gets in the lineup. This is not a Stanley Cup contending defense. And Dubas can only do so much. I just feel like those superstar players put Toronto in a really tough spot to be competitive.
Yeah, I mean, it's the truth, and you're going to see this more often, right? Like those, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, my opinion, you can't come back next season with this core.
I mean,
it's proven that they are not good.
Dude, Keefe is going to be gone. Dubas is going to be gone. Maybe Shanahan's gone. Like, they haven't given him a contract. It's super awkward with Shanahan, too. Like, maybe he's gone as well. Like, he should deserve some of the blame. I don't know who actually makes the trades. I assume it's Dubas, but how much does it say does Shanahan have? Do they butt heads? It's just an awkward, weird situation between the two. It's like veteran Shanahan, who's won multiple Stanley Cups, trying to, I don't know, groom the young up and coming Dubas. It's just, I don't know. It's so weird. I would imagine Keefe is gone, and you have to do something with the core, and who do you trade? You're not trading Matthews. You're probably not trading Marner. Nylander's probably the guy that's gone, but he's got the contract that's super friendly and is had some pretty unlucky. The puck luck hasn't been there for him. Geez, the other night in game 2, I think he hit like 4 bars. But like the puck luck hasn't been there for him. But there's something you have to do with this core. So in a week's time, this team has gone from, finally winning a first round against a 3-time Eastern Conference champion Tampa Bay Lightning to, the chance we want Florida. To be fair, there was some we want Boston chance too, to being Stanley Cup contenders. And in less than a week, these guys now from the shortest odds to win the Stanley Cup at plus 350 to the longest odds to win the Stanley Cup at 25-1. And here they are down 3-0, 7-1 to come back here. To be fair, I had Leafs in 7. So no, I don't think it's going to happen.
That's still alive, buddy.
It's still alive. And minus 1,200 there.
Look, I mean, crazier stuff has happened. Like the Leafs coming back against Florida. You can say whatever you want. The Leafs coming back at this point against Florida is not as crazy as the Florida Panthers beating the Boston Bruins.
You're right. We don't have a long history of this stuff, EY. 4 teams have come back down 3-0 and won. The 42 Leafs, the 75 Islanders, the 2010 Flyers against the Bruins. Boston was up 3-0. And I remember watching that series and thinking, man, the Bruins are in control. And then it just really takes, it's one game at a time, of course, but you win that one and then you go back home. And then if you can win that second and make it 3-2, then all of a sudden, like, you're in the series and there's some doubt and confidence is crazy. And the Kings did it in 2014 as well.
Am I betting on it to happen? No. If I was to bet at this point, I would bet Florida wins game 4 and it's over. That's what it looks like it's going to happen.
And that's how I feel as well. Let's say what up to the crew in the house, Troy in the house. I can't wait for the Columbus Blue Jackets to have a huge bounce back season next year. I know their 5-year plan is better than the Blackhawks and the Ducks, even though they have Bedard and Fantilli. The ESPN mishap was such a buzzkill. Knowing the outcome before the card was flipped, I am feeling way better this morning. I'm not going to lie to the people. I passed out. I didn't see it. I did hear that Kevin Weeks said something before the commercial break that Columbus, something happened with the pick. And listen, I don't think that these NHL draft lotteries are rigged, but they're not doing it live, people. Like, and that just shows you right there that these are pre-recorded things. The NHL is a business at the end of the day. If somebody told me the NHL lotteries over the past couple of years were rigged to kind of favor the business or favor certain teams, and the Blackhawks are original 6 team and a lot of turmoil with them over the past year, they trade all these players away and now they just fall into Connor Bedard, I wouldn't be shocked. But I'm not going to go down that road here today with people. But I'm
not a Blackhawks fan, but I mean, him going to a major city like that in a major market, and I mean, we're not going to talk about all the other stuff. This is a franchise that is in need of something good, right? Like Wayne Gretzky said some crazy stuff. Like, it's wild, man. It's wild. I really wish that it would have been another team for Troy. The Blue Jackets, I think, would have been really cool. I wanted him to see play in Vancouver or Montreal, but Blackhawks, they win. And I mean, Fantilli's a great player. There's lots of great players in this draft. So it's I mean, Connor Bedard, no one knows. I mean, I'd be willing to bet that he's going to be a megastar, but we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know, right? It doesn't have the same.
And a lot of people were convinced that Alexis Lafreniere was going to be a megastar. Here we are.
It doesn't have the same sort of feel as like Lafreniere or like Neil Yakupov. And I'm not ready to say Lafreniere is a bust, but I don't know if the Rangers take him first overall.
He's not what everyone, including the Rangers, thought he was going to be. That's for sure.
Fair. Yeah, even Kako. Like that's I mean, Tim Stützle could have been a Ranger, right? So they certainly messed up at least one of those two drafts. But it's amazing, right? Gary Bettman can tell you all he wants that there's no tanking in the NHL, but he is straight up lying.
He has to say that,
because Chicago, like, forget trading Patrick Kane and they're going to lose Taves this year, but these guys traded some really good young players away, like Kirby Doc, who had a career season this year. Dylan Strome had a career season this year. Like, they moved on from basically everybody to tank to get a shot at Connor Bedard, and they did get it. But I would agree with Troy. I think the Blue Jackets have a better foundation, and they'll be able to turn things around a little bit quicker here. Hammerhead Union in the house. He's the biggest Kraken fan in the world. Seattle in 7, Panthers sweep. Down goes Frazier. Dropping hammer. Woo. I love it. Welcome in. Good morning, Troy. Good morning, Daily Handle with Jordan Allen. Good morning, Means EY. Everybody, playoffs, let's go. Welcome in. Adam Rentcamp. It has been a minute. What's up? What is going on, Adam? Meanie, I forgive you, your Dallas. Hey, whoa. Dallas can still win in 6. They can still win in 6. But yeah, it doesn't look fantastic for my Stars in 6 pick. You know what's amazing about that? And we can just get into it right now. Let's just do it. Seattle and Dallas here this evening. These are the series odds. Dallas plus 130, Seattle at minus 130. The Kraken at home tonight, plus 120 over at DraftKings, and minus 132 for Bet Rivers. The Kraken up 2-1. A very impressive win by Seattle in game 2. I'm not going to take anything away from them, but I didn't think Jake Ottinger played that well, but something that we've been saying all year long, EY, when it comes to this Kraken team, and it's clearly just going to be sustainable all year long, and maybe next year the puck clock won't be there. And guys, don't get me wrong. Again, I'm sounding like a broken record. We've been all over the Kraken here, but that second period, when the shot attempts were like 19-7 in a 5-minute stretch, and Seattle scores 4 goals. It's like, what? Right? Like, Dallas was actually having like a nice little stretch, and they were creating chances, almost triple the shot attempts and high danger scoring chances, but yet Kraken finds a way to score 4 goals. I didn't think Jake Ottinger was all that good. I thought he let in a couple soft.
He was bad, and he was due for one, right? He was bad, and he was bad in a chunk of that. You mean not a huge chunk of time. You let in 4 goals like that. Oh man, it's tough, right? Especially with Seattle. Like, I still think Dallas wins this series. I believe that. I think Dallas,
I do too.
Has a real shot to win the Stanley Cup. I still think, regardless of what's going on, that Edmonton is going to make it out of that series with Vegas, and they're going to play for the Stanley Cup from the West. But man, Dallas and Seattle, it's captivating. You know what I mean? It's just, the whole thing is interesting. It's been such a good series.
How about a Seattle, Florida Panthers Stanley Cup final?
Tell me that the world explodes, right? Like, but it could happen.
I mean, Toronto and Edmonton would be one thing, and it'd be super fun. And it would be fun for a lot of Canadians, and I think a lot of other people as well, like superstar power on superstar power, McDavid and Draisaitl and Matthews and all that stuff. But Seattle and Florida would be like, oh, whoa. And you know what? It would be good too. Like, I don't think it would be bad. I think the Stanley Cup finals that I probably that at least would like to see would be Carolina and maybe Seattle. I don't know. Like, that could be okay. But Carolina's that one team that again, super impressive what they've been able to do. But they're that one team that I just don't really want to see it happen. But Seattle, I think the biggest thing here is what Hammerhead is saying. And that's the only reason I doubted them. I thought that they could go on a decent run. I definitely thought that they could get this far, and I think that they could beat Dallas too. And can I go toe-to-toe with the Oilers or Vegas? Sure. They've proved, I think, to everybody that they can go toe-to-toe with anybody in the league. But I think no, that's not the comment I wanted to bring up. Forget the Miami comment. Is this one, the goaltending. The goaltending, that was the biggest issue for me because I hadn't seen anything positive from Philip Grubauer in 2 regular seasons. He was one of the worst goalies in the NHL over the past 2 years. He had moments this year. I think maybe Martin Jones had more moments than him this season, and we weren't really buying that. But he has played great. He's been fantastic throughout the entire playoffs. We know how great this Kraken team is at 5-5. Man, they get sticks in lanes, they block shots. It's actually completely different from watching a team like the Leafs, who are so
and doing
heavy.
it without their best player in
Jared
McCann,
who 40 goal scorer.
Yep.
You're right. He's been practicing without his teammates. I think he's close.
I bet I got a feel we see him tonight.
Yeah. And that's just another boost. That top line with like Cartree and Eberle and Beniers has actually created a lot of offense, where the Yanni Gourde line has been good, especially in the playoffs. But the Yanni Gourde line has the task of like going up against the opposing team's top players. But Seattle has found something in that top line, is really kind of like, when you look at the numbers from an analytical standpoint, 5-5, that's the line to me that's been checking some boxes, along with the Wyatt Johnson line. More so in games 1 and 2 than games 3 on the road, because the matchups do change. Everything does change a little bit. But Seattle, again, when you compared a team like Toronto, and one of my buddy asked me, he doesn't get it. He follows the Leafs and he only follows the Leafs. He says, how does a team like Seattle, I look at their roster up and down, I only notice a handful of players. And how does a team like Seattle have so much success this early on in 2 years into the league, and a team like the Leafs with so much firepower, top 6, super heavy with superstars? They're two completely different teams. EY Kraken are in on the forecheck. They're nonstop. They're go, go, go. They finish every check. They block everything. They get all kinds of sticks in the lanes. They really are impressive to watch. And what they're doing is, I think it's more impressive than what Vegas did in their opening year and going to the Stanley Cup Finals, because they had star power on that squad.
Yeah. I mean, dude, we've been talking about this all year. For me, it's so fascinating to see how they're put together. And not only are they put together that way, it's showing results, right? Like the first series, they had, I think it was 12 in the first like 5 games, 12 different goal scorers. Like that's,
oh yeah,
it's insane. No one had 2. There was 12 different people. They had scored 12 goals, and it was 12 different people. Like it's insane. And like the fact that you bring in this, I know that you know who he is, but I think, most people, and me included, I had no idea who this Ty Cartier guy is. And there he is playing on the top line.
Led the AHL in goals. Just here he is. You're right. Here he is. Well, just undrafted, not drafted in the NHL. Here you go. First line.
Tell me another team that would believe in analytics enough, or him to he's playing. I mean, playing on the top line doesn't mean like that he's playing 15 minutes and Daniel Sprong's playing 11. It's not like there's a massive difference, but which is another thing. Like we could talk for hours about the Seattle team. It's awesome. I think Dallas wins. That does not mean I'm against Seattle in any way. I love Seattle. I want Toronto to win. I love Florida. Me and you have been Florida fans forever. We love Duclair. I wanted Barkov to be a Nashville Predator more than anything, and I wanted to break stuff when it didn't happen for us. Matthew Tkachuk, I've said it on this show and other shows, might be my favorite player in the NHL to watch.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, playoffs this year have just been fascinating, man. Like this could be an 8-hour show. I'm unemployed.
Oh, it could.
Let's do it.
It could. So we'll get into the other series a little bit deeper, but Seattle and Dallas, is there anything you like for tonight? I'm going to rattle off a couple things from game 3 that we saw. We did see, again, a second period that I thought was pretty strong for the Dallas Stars. So
yep.
You take it away. What do you like here tonight?
I think Dallas shows up in a big way tonight. I think Dallas wins this game. If I'm betting on goal scorers on the Seattle side, I'm going to go back to Ilya Tolovan. He's been real close. Shooter on that power play. A guy that I like. I mean, it's no secret about that. And I think maybe the best player for Seattle has been Jordan Eberle. He's just been unbelievable. Every time he's on the ice, it's not like Draisaitl level, but like if you're watching, and you'll know what I'm saying, it's like the puck is following him, right? Like every time you turn around, he has the puck, or the puck is going towards him, and he's asked to make a play, and he's made a lot of really good plays, scored some important goals for him. So those are the 2 guys I like on that side. And I'm going Hintz. He's been unbelievable. I mean, if it wasn't for Draisaitl's unbelievable effort so far in the playoffs, we're probably talking about a possible Conn Smythe winner, right? In Hintz, he's been unbelievable. Love him. Unbelievable skater. He's such a good player. And Jason Robertson. I mean, finally kind of getting things going. Looks like he's turning back into Jason Robertson and is just such a smart player, and his shot is elite. I think they scored. I think both of them scored tonight.
So I do have some questions about Robinson. Like, I'm waiting for him. Like, I'm really waiting for him to break out. One of my buddies, like, maybe he's just not a playoff player. He's been in the league for like a minute. I think it's too early to say that. But 12-37 at 5-5 in game 3. I mean, Dadonov, I think, has been one of Dallas's best players in this series.
He's been so
he
good.
led all stars players at 5-5 at 14-22, followed by Wyatt Johnson. So that line has really been getting a bulk of the 5-5 minutes. Mason Marchment, Radek Faksa, Max Domi. These are all guys that had more 5-5 minutes than Jason Robertson in the last game. But Robertson did have 3 shots at 5-5 and 4 shot attempts. Rupe Hintz as well in game 3, 4 shot attempts and 3 shots. I am going to Hintz as well, over 2.5 shots at -106. But I really do feel like there's some decent value here with some of these player props. Does Hammerhead Union feel like Dallas is going to come back? And he's got Seattle in 7. Does he like Dallas to win this game tonight? I think that we see the Stars win this hockey game, but I think there's a lot of value with some of these Dallas players when it comes to point props. For example, Dadonov for a point here tonight. Last game, he was +116 for a point. He was +250 for an assist, and he did have an assist. He's +230 right now for an assist. Daddy. And he's +125 for a point. I think he's been one of the better players for the Stars in this round.
And he's been noticeable.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
very
analytically, like you're saying, 5-on-5, he's been unbelievable. But if you're a person like, I'm not following along on analytics and shots and all that stuff, I'm just watching with my eyes. He's another guy where it does seem like every time he's on the ice, the puck is following him around. Like, this is a guy they picked up off the scrap heap, and might be their most consistent player. You can't say that with Joe Pavelski because he was out, right? But Dadonov has played every game, and he's been unbelievable for Dallas. What a pickup by them.
We don't know the status of Mira Heiskanen as Adam chimes in. I was looking again this morning, and as we get closer to some morning skates, I don't know, man. I think, maybe
he'll play. He'll have a full cage on. He'll play.
Yeah, I'd say he'll have a cage. It's not gonna be easy for him, man. Going from a visor to cage, I'll tell you what, it's tough, man. It's challenging. I've done it myself, and I'm not anywhere near these guys on the ice all the time, but it's challenging. It's really challenging. He's got to be able to see.
I play beer league, and nobody knows what they're doing. So, like, I see guys still playing without him, and I'm like, what do you? You got to look, man. Like, when I shoot the puck, I'm closing my eyes. I don't know where it's going.
Yeah, I wonder if
they beer league are insane.
They are insane. I really would like to see Dallas kind of stay true to some of the line changes that they've made. I think it kind of creates a little bit more balance up and down their lineup. Like with Sagan up on that top line gives them, like, I thought Domi and Marchment were just basically invisible unless Sagan is playing with them, but having Pavelski with them, I think it makes a little bit more sense. But I got Hintz for over 2.5 shots. I think we'll see the big boys really. What we've seen a lot in the playoffs is like the bounce back performances. And I was surprised we just didn't see one from Toronto game 3. But for the most part, we have seen some bounce back performances. This happened to Dallas, where they were down in Minnesota. They looked like trash, and they come back, and they were just like, urgency was there, and they were really much better. We've seen it in this round for the most part, with the Devils kind of like bouncing back on home ice. Hammerhead saying another 7-3 performance. My goodness, if it's 7-3 again, then Jake Ottinger has just had 2 back-to-back games in a row that are just awful. I would expect him to bounce back tonight. I think this game is going to go a little bit differently, but in terms of the high scoring, it has been a high scoring kind of matchup between these two teams. The same thing in the regular season as well. There was a back-to-back where they played both in Seattle. Dallas won both of those games, but they were high scoring hockey games. And we've seen 2 of the 3 really be high scoring as well. But so anyways, hints for shots. I'm going to try to like keep things condensed here with not too many picks, but I like hints for over 2.5 shots. I like Dadonov for a point at plus 125, and I like Dadonov for an assist at plus 230. And I think that if the lines do stay true, Seguin is interesting to me up on that top line. Maybe just for like a point at minus 120. He still gets time on the first power play as well. Even if
he's looked good, right? Like, I mean,
he has looked good. Yeah. On the Kraken side, you mentioned Eberle. Eberle's Bjorkstrand's been pretty good to us in terms of shot props. I think Eberle at plus 145 for 3 shots. It's a shot I want to take. You don't see too many shot props for plus 145 for a guy that's, on the top line, and he's been playing really good. The one thing with Seattle, and it's so tough to play them at DFS and stack them. You got to take one line, and they're cheap, and you can roll them out with big boys. But the other night, they scored 7 goals. Nobody had more than 2 points. Nobody had more than 1 goal. 2 guys in Eberle and I forget who now had 2 points. So nobody had more than 2 points. And it's just like the offense comes from everybody, right?
Everywhere.
It just comes up and down their lineup.
We've mentioned it, but like for people that don't pay attention to time on ice, and Daniel Sprong having 21 goals, and he's playing an average of 8 to 11 minutes it's effing insane. It's insane. Insane.
It is. I wonder what we see if there's no Miro Heiskanen, what they do on their blue line. They had
don't put that voodoo on Dallas, man.
Man.
He's gonna play. He just got hit in the face with the puck. Marty Baron had 47 stitches. Or whatever, 75 stitches. He
75.
He played that game. Same game.
But it's just a matter of seeing. If you can't see, you can't play. True. So if he can keep his eye open, he's good to go. If he doesn't suit up, Colin Miller, I just
cut him. Just like Rocky.
It'd be so, just cut. Colin Miller played up on that top power play. He had 6 shot attempts and 3 shots. Now, I'm not going down.
Right?
Yeah, he can shoot. I'm not going down the Colin Miller shot prop road because I just don't think that there is one, to be honest with you.
Let's get nuts, man.
Let's get really nuts here on a Tuesday. But what I will say is that if he is on that top power play and there's no Miro Heiskanen tonight, he's plus 950 to score a goal. Plus 950, led the Stars in shot attempts and shots at 5-5 in the last game. And maybe you want to sprinkle down something if you can find it like on a point. I don't think you'll find any power play point. Everybody's books are different. He's not even really popping up. In our prop shop, he's showing 50-1 to score the first goal, which is just a payday in itself. But plus 950 to find the back of the net. But really for the DFS players out there, maybe consider him in DFS if there's no Heiskanen on that side. Before we wrap up from this series, I do want to give a little bit more love to Bjorkstrand because he has been good to us. Even at 5-5, he checked some boxes for me in the last game, 4 shot attempts and 3 shots, but up and down their lineup, and it's the only guy that had over 2 shots at 5-5 in the game. As for the series itself, just to kind of go over everything, it has been fairly even. The Stars have more shot attempts. The shots are dead even, 77 apiece. The goals in favor of the Kraken at 11-9 in terms of 5-5. The scoring chances are heavily in favor of the Dallas Stars at 80-61. And then the high danger chances are spot on at 5 each. So those are the goals. The high danger chances are heavily in favor of the Stars as well, 38-24. So as much as you've been saying, like, not you, but other people, and not at Hammerhead here, the Kraken. Stars been pretty good in this series as well. But Grubauer has been better than Jake Ottinger, and so far that has been the difference. So Sagan point, Hintz shots, Dadonov point, Dadonov assists. Jordan Eberle, a little sprinkle on him for 3 shots. I do like Bjorkstrand a touch more. I think it's a safer play. And then Eberle, and then a Colin Miller. And I'm going to do it if there's no Heiskanen, like a 0.25 units, 950 goal. If I could find a point, I would do it. Colin Miller bets. What are we doing here on a Tuesday? All right, this one. Carolina and New Jersey, I was doing a little bit of gardening. Not going to lie. I missed the first few minutes of this game. I came in and I was like, what the heck did I miss? What happened in this game? A ton of goals, a ton of offense. Even the Hurricanes, they scored 3 shorthanded goals in that game as well. It was an 8-4 final. And we did see the big boys show up. As I mentioned earlier, the big boys for New Jersey popped off. Played the line of DFS, thought I was on my way, cashed a little bit. But I did have Jack Hughes in my life with Dawson Mercer and Timo Meier. Those 3 were paired up together, and they really didn't disappoint. I thought that Hischier and Jesper Bratt were really good as well in that game. But at 5-5, Nico Hischier had 8 shot attempts and 4 shots. Jesper Bratt had 7 attempts and 4 shots. Timo Meier had 3 shots on 5 attempts. He scored a goal at even strength. Jack Hughes had 2 goals at even strength and 4 points. And he finished with 4 shots and 4 attempts at 5-5 as well. One player that's been really impressive for me in this series is Jordan Martinook. I always see his shot prop at 1.5, and I got to kind of parlay it with something else. I think he only scored his first goal of the series in the last game, but he is, every time I look at not your typical box score, just over at Natural Stat Trick, and I take a look at shot attempts and everything, I always see Martinook near the top. And that was the case in the last game as well. He had 4 attempts, which was tied with Jack Jury for the most at 5-5. He scored the goal. He picked up an assist. Brent Burns still leads the way every single time for the Hurricanes in terms of shot attempts, and 5-5. He played 22 minutes, which was the most for the Hurricanes, and he had 8 attempts, but he only put 2 on net. That's all strengths. At 5-5, he had 5 attempts, and it's really just always defensemen. Gostisbehere, Brett Pesce, Burns. These are the guys that are leading the way for the Hurricanes in terms of shot attempts. But do you see a tighter matchup here this time around in Game 3? Is there something about the Devils just being perfect on home ice? They say until you lose a game on home ice, you're never out of it.
Yeah, I mean, no secret.
There it is.
No secret.
There it is.
I'm back in the, New Jersey. I love this Carolina team too, but I think New Jersey turned back into who they need to be. You mean, like we saw them do this in the Rangers series, where they're trying to play tight and they're trying to be physical, and this is just not who they are. And as soon as they turn on that forecheck and turn on that speed, there's not a lot that any team can do. And look at Carolina is somehow been scoring, and it's something that no one thought. I mean, you could be the most staunch Carolina Hurricanes defender. They haven't scored all year, and now they're missing 3 of their top scorers, and all of a sudden here come the goals. The reality is I wouldn't say this has exactly been a goaltending battle, right? I mean, there's just goals all over the place. It's super fun to watch. I think New Jersey turns it on again here tonight and scores a bunch. I mean, is Anderson going to play? Ronta's hurt. Can Ketchov handle the pressure being so young and not really playing in playoff games? He got shelled the game before. The biggest thing for me, I think, is Timo Meier turning into Timo Meier. That last game, that's the best he's looked as a New Jersey Devil. That's the player that they thought they were getting. He's big. He's fast. He is ultra difficult to play against. Every time he was on the ice, like you could see, like watch when they flip it in and the defensemen are looking over their shoulders because here he comes, just rumbling. And it makes it, not only is he big and fast, great stick, smart player, just stripping pucks. And once they get that puck low, it's hard for Carolina to keep up. And I'm still sticking with the same thing is eventually that style of play catches up to Carolina, and you just can't play that way. It's exhausting, and you can't play that way forever. And if they can't play that way, they can't win. And that's what we're seeing happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like the Devils tonight. I think that they even up the series. I think that they, that's a game clearly they needed, Game 3, but I think, a lot of confidence that they could have gotten from that game, scoring some goals, on Carolina, generating some chances, getting some power plays. I mean, their power play, and they need to really figure that out. They can't be giving up a couple of shorties here and there, but I do like the overall depth of the squad, and I like the line shaped up a little bit here. Let's be honest. Jack Hughes can't be playing with Andre Palat and Eric Holla. Like, I like Palat too. I like him on that top line. He's fine. He brings Stanley Cup experience. He's good. He's a good player at this time. But Jack Hughes needs to be playing with Timo Meier, or he needs to be playing with Jesper Bratt. It's one of the two. And it just wasn't the case. Like, Haula and Palat and Hughes had a great first round. Great first round. But I really like the shape of these lines now with Hughes, Mercer, and Timo Meier. So I think that Dawson Mercer is in play here tonight for a point at plus 110. Mercer point plus 110. And I also think that for an assist at plus 220, I really like as well. I think we'll see Jack Hughes score. I think we'll see Timo Meier score. And I'm into probably Timo shots more so than Jack. But I really do think that there's something to be said about Nico Hischier as well in terms of a shot prop.
Dude,
he's been pretty good at home. He's been really good at home, and he's minus 118 over at Bet Rivers for 3 shots. And as I said in that last game, I mean, the matchups change, right? When the series shifts, the matchups change. And at 5-5, I just can't ignore the 8 shot attempts and the 4 shots. I mean, between him and Jesper Bratt, that's 15 attempts and 8 shots at 5-5. And when you include Palat, who played on the line with the 2, there's another 4 attempts and 3 shots. So between them, you get 11 shots and 19 shot attempts at 5-5. That's significant. On the Hurricane side of things, there's really nobody I can get behind. I'm not an unders guy, so sorry guys, I just can't really get behind a under at minus 175. It just is not really for me. I think Martin Necas is the one Hurricane that I can kind of get behind at 2.5.
He's been so close.
He's been close.
I got him to score for them tonight. Him and Kotkaniemi.
Okay, nice. And you know, Kotkaniemi with Fast and Martinook has been a pretty good line for them as well. I'll probably do some sort of parlay with 1.5. I see at DraftKings right now, I see again a 1.5 for Joe Pavelski. So here's a 1.5 shot prop parlay for you guys. Martinook 1.5, Joe Pavelski 1.5, pays plus 142. I have a hard time betting under Burns. Like, how can you bet under Burns when he's going to lead everybody in ice time and he's going to have 8 or 9 shot attempts? I just think it's really risky, Hammerhead. I know you're on point with a lot of your plays. I know you said Eberle is a little bit safer. I think they're both safe. I mean, Bjorkstad's hitting 5 of 7. Eberle's hitting 5 of 8. Bjorkstrand gets a touch more ice time at 5-5. I think they're both decent plays, but I have a hard time betting Burns because the process. I mean, Burns has hit more times 3.5 than not. Not in this series, but he's hit more times. Yeah, he's too many shot attempts to get behind the under. A guy that's going to lead the game in ice time at 5-5 in all strengths, and he's going to put 8 or 9 pucks.
Never seen a shot he doesn't like.
Yeah, it's a tough bet for me to get behind, but you do you, Hammerhead. You've been killing it. You do you. All right, Oilers. Wrap up here with Oilers and talk to me about what you saw last night from Vegas and Edmonton.
I mean, Vegas, they're tricky, right? It's been a really cool series, and it's just kind of gone back and forth. Like we saw the Oilers completely tear them to shreds, 2 days ago, and then Vegas comes out last night, and Stuart Skinner was awful. I mean, he was awful. 2 of the goals are he's looking right at the shooter. The defenseman, is pulling over to cover the pass. He's looking right at the shooter, and 2 of them went right through him. Look at goaltending, ice hockey goaltending. It's the hardest position in any sport. But when you're the starting goalie and you're not being screened, it's not deflected, and the puck is just coming off a guy's stick and coming at you, it can't go in the net. It just can't. If they have to start Jack Campbell, they're in trouble. If Stuart Skinner keeps playing like that, it's over for them is the reality for it. Vegas is a really good team. I still think that Edmonton wins this series. I want Edmonton to win this series. I want Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to play for the Stanley Cup. I want Connor McDavid to win a Stanley Cup. But man, Vegas is unreal. And I'll say a big X factor is it sucks for Laurent Brossoit, an older guy. He's been a backup everywhere he's gone, puts together this unbelievable end of season kind of push, outplays Hellebuck, the former guy that started in front of him in Winnipeg, like he didn't outplay him. The Vegas Golden Knights outplayed him, and Brossoit happened to be on the team, but he made the saves when he needed to, and Hellebuck didn't. Him getting hurt is not good, but I'll say this: Aiden Hill looked cool as a cucumber. I mean,
did.
He looked like a starter. This is a guy that I've liked forever in our salary cap dynasty. I've had him, kind of stashed away since he played in Arizona. Huge guy, crazy athleticism for a goalie his size, and he just looked completely in control. Like I couldn't imagine that happened. You know what I mean? Like sitting there for that long, you're cold, you haven't taken a shot in an hour, you're sitting there with your helmet off, and all of a sudden Laurent Brossoit gets hurt, and in you go. And everyone's hopes and dreams are on you. And I mean, he took a shot right away, which was great from him on the power play. If you're a goalie, that's the worst time to go in. And he looked awesome. And if he plays like that, I mean, maybe nobody beats Vegas. It's like the goalie situation there is just insane. It's insane.
But they've been doing it all year. And
they've been doing it all year.
Well, this is what I agree with Rancamp. Like Vegas played like they played on the road all year. Second best road record. They played phenomenal on the road all year long. Yep. And they've been doing it with all these different goaltenders. And how about, Cassidy having Aiden Hill as the backup compared to Jonathan Quick, who's won multiple Stanley Cups, right? Yep. I mean, he's kind of pushed all the right buttons as well. It's like Brossoit, Hill, Logan Thompson.
Even Jonathan Quick, when they got him and he played, won some important games for them.
Quick, like Robin Leonard earlier in the year, off season before the season started, some injuries to him as well. So they've been doing it all year. It's kind of like next man up, but they play a really good brand of 5-on-5 hockey, and they don't take a lot of penalties. But they took 9 in the first 2 games, and it got them into complete trouble because this Oilers power play is like you playing NHL 23 with your cousin who doesn't know where the X is on the PlayStation controller. Like that's what it is. It's just it's historic. They did in the regular season and it's carried over here in the playoffs. You just can't take penalties against this squad. I am a little bit worried about them. I kind of have this feeling as well because of how well they do play on the road and how sound they are at 5-on-5, and for the most part, they really are disciplined because they have 3 lines too, where they've shuffled their lines. Where I like the balance of their squad. Like I like Smith and Carlson on that 3rd line. Marchessault and Stone are creating magic that they had at the start of the season. Eichel was really good last night with Jonathan Marchessault and Barbashev adding some firepower, and then the blue line like Pietrangelo, Alec Martinez are just staples on that blue line with Stanley Cup experience that they have and they bring to the table. And, I think even like White Cloud is very underrated. I like that he can move the puck and he can skate it up himself. So they do have a lot of good players, but this is one that you can always get behind. He's been one of the best shot blockers in the NHL over the past few years as Martinez shot blocks as well. The goalie situation could get, it could get a little dicey. We'll see what happens with the moving forward. If there is a game 6 in Edmonton, I will be in the building. I will be in the building with a few buddies, and I'm really looking forward to that. So hopefully the Golden Knights don't win in 5. Plus, just from a hockey standpoint, give us 7 games. Like, let us see 7
Please,
games.
God.
I hope we see it.
I want all the series to be 7.
I would, of course.
I got sad yesterday thinking that the playoffs are going to be over here in a little bit.
Yeah, they're over for you in like 20.
I'll have to watch the 71 Summit series again.
Like a true psycho.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Missed that comment. I'm into it as well. Got it on the sheet here, right? The 8 shot attempts. I can't ignore it. I really can't ignore it. And this New Jersey team has looked much different on home ice. And also there is something to be said about Carolina not playing good on the road over the past 3 or 4 years in the playoffs. I know they squeaked one out against the Islanders and a couple against the Islanders, but this hasn't been a good road playoff team. And I still believe that lack of depth will catch up to them. All right, way out. You give me your goal scorers. I'm going to go here first. Hintz, shots, Dadonov, point, assist, second point, Colin Miller, keep an eye, DFS, Bjorkstrand, Eberle, shots. I do believe we'll see some offense again. It seems to be the trend that's continuing. I think we'll see better goaltending from Jake Ottinger. I like the Stars to win. Tonight, Mercer, point, Nico, shots. I like Timo Meyer, shots. I like the Devils. I like the Devils to win this game on home ice as well. And I think I may do a little bit of a sprinkle on Palat for a point. Palat and also Mercer have plus money for a point playing with really good players inside the top 6. So that's kind of where I'm at. A Martinuk and a Pavelski 1.5 shot parlay. You go ahead. Finish this off.
I got Meyer and Hughes for New Jersey, Nechez, Kotkaniemi for Carolina. I got Robertson and Hintz for Dallas, and Jordan Eberle and Ella Tollivan for Seattle. I think Dallas wins, and I think New Jersey wins tonight.
Well, game 6 would be in Seattle, but I would love to go. I would love to go to Seattle for game 6. I still think the
next season we're going to a Seattle game.
100%. We are, and we'd love the crew to come. We're doing it. Hammerhead, if the Kraken go on to win the Stanley Cup, you and also Diehard MMA Podcast, who has like a 35-1 ticket on them to win the cup, you guys will have no excuse but to meet us in Seattle at Climate Pledge Arena for the Kraken, maybe home opener. Maybe they raise the Stanley Cup banner. Who knows? Crazier things have happened here. I hate that EY's spirits are down and that he thinks that the Leafs are going to lose in 4. It's all over for them. I think that I've actually changed my tune.
They're not winning.
They're going to win game 4.
We'll see.
They have no choice. They have no choice.
Yeah,
we're out of here.
About game 3.
Oh, they did. Now they have no choice. It's not over to the fat lady singing, is what they say. But she's warming up. We'll talk to you guys soon. Enjoy the pucks, and we'll see you on Thursday. Cheers.